Joining me now, former NYPD Commissioner Bernie Kerik. Great to see you. First of all, just give us your reaction to the images we've seen over the weekend of this arrest and the fatal consequence to that, and what do you think of that in the context of this debate over police brutality and police reform?
Okay, so I guess first off, the videos that I've seen so far, I've seen some bystander videos where people that was in that parking lot took. You see a confrontation. You see the subject, the target, this, fighting with the cops, assaulting the cops, resisting arrest. You then see him with a taser in his hand. He runs. At some point after that, he shot. Last night, Steve, on Fox, I heard the attorneys for the deceased families talk about those cops and how if they had stopped a white guy, that they would have been easier, that they would have been nicer. That, the inference was they harassed this guy because he was black. That was the inference. However, today, the body cam was released to the press and to the public, and I urge everyone to look at the body cam. Those cops couldn't have been more calm. They couldn't have been more professional. They couldn't have been more at ease. They were polite. They were courteous. They did everything they could possibly do by the book, right up until the time they gave him a sobriety test and determined that he had drank too much to be driving, and informed him he was being placed under arrest. And the second they went to arrest him and put him in handcuffs, he began resisting. And that's a big part of this problem. And that's been a big part of many of these events that we see like this. You cannot assault a police officer. You cannot attack them. You cannot resist arrest. These are things that are illegal. At some point, he disarms the cop from his taser, fires or attempts to fire the taser at the cop, at which time he's shot. That's what I've seen based on the videos I've watched so far.
Yeah. Well, I think we can help with your desire for everyone to see that footage. We have that here. And just before we play it, I just want to make this point to emphasize what you're saying there, Bernie, is that I think I'm right in saying is that in the prior period leading up to what we're about to see, there was a long period where the officers were doing exactly what a lot of the campaigners are calling for. They were engaging peacefully, respectfully, in a calm manner with the person they were dealing with for, I think it was 43 minutes before it suddenly turned, and that's the moment we're going to see now.
Put your hands behind your back for me. Here, put your hands behind your back. Hey, stop fighting! Stop fighting! Stop fighting! Stop fighting! You're gonna get tased! You're gonna get tased! Stop! Mr. Wrong! Stop! Come on, man! Stop! You're gonna get tased! Mr. Wrong! Hey, hands off the hands off the taser! Hands off the taser!
Well, as we can see, this is a very, very different case from the one that prompted all of this national discussion, international protest to George Floyd. But Bernie, I just want to switch now to the broader question of police brutality, the calls for police reform. What do you make of that? Do you agree that there is too much of the aggressive confrontation going on that results in many of these tragedies, and that we do need to see some changes, whilst, of course, supporting the police?
You know what I think, Steve? I think people have to step back and they have to look at what the job is of the police departments in their communities. They have to look at those communities and the people that are in them and look at the incidents individually, every one of them. Like I said last night, and I started to say now, I think the general public forgets you can't attack or assault a cop. You can't resist arrest. You can't obstruct or interfere with somebody else's arrest. You can't run from the police. You can't hit them with your car. You can't take their gun or their taser or their nightstick and try to beat them with it because they're going to respond with force. And in 95, 99% of these incidents, they come out of resisting arrest. The officers are effecting a legal arrest and the subject resists. And at that point, the officers have to respond. And sometimes the suspect gets hurt, and unfortunately, sometimes they get killed. But at the end of the day, 95% of these incidents would not happen if the suspect did what he was told by the cops.
But what about the fact that it did end in the suspect being killed? I think a lot of people would see that and think, you know what? Yeah, of course, what happened was wrong on the part of the suspect. Of course, exactly as you say, shouldn't resist arrest, shouldn't be violent, certainly shouldn't take a police officer's weapon and threaten to use it against them. Of course, that's all completely unacceptable. Agreed. But does it have to result in the person dying? I think that's the point that is fueling a lot of this mistrust of the police in many parts
Steve,
of our community.
I understand that, but I think everybody has to understand every one of these single incidents, every single one is different. Everyone is different. In that situation last night, people have said that a taser is not a deadly weapon. It's not deadly force, except there's a problem. When you take a police officer's weapon and you attempt to destabilize him or to incapacitate him, especially with a taser, if you hit a cop with a taser, it's going to knock him down. It's going to put him in a position where he can't respond, and he has a sidearm on. So he has two choices. He could let you hit him with that taser, and the possibility is then you go to get his gun, or he could take you down. And in this case, I'm sure that's what the officer did. But you know what, Steve? We shouldn't be talking about this. This should be a grand jury. This should be a real investigation. All this stuff that everybody's speculating right now, that's what investigations are for. And you have the mayor fires him, no due process. You have the prosecutor who did the same thing to a bunch of cops 2 weeks ago. Most of those 6 cops, 5 of those 6 cops were black. Fired, everybody got fired. People got charged criminally. I don't know what's going on in Atlanta and how they operate, but you know what? You got to do investigations. You got to give the cops the benefit of the doubt until the investigation's concluded, or you're going to lose your police force.
Well, Bernie, you really know what you're talking about on this subject. We greatly appreciate your insights.